Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, my name is Candice. Today we are talking about our wardrobes as women, okay, and how they can be a big source of frugality, okay, how we can be frugal with our wardrobes. Before we dive in, of course, we're going to pray really quick, and then we're going to talk through some tips, okay? God, thank you so much for making clothing for us, for giving us all the different fabrics and things that we can use to clothe ourselves, and how they're so individual and unique, and each one of us has a different body type, and you've made it so clothes will look different on each and every one of us. I pray that this gets in front of whoever you would like it to see it, and that they would take a few helpful tips away from this video. I ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Okay, so our wardrobes. This time of year, I decided to do this video. Now, as of recording this, it is officially January 1st, so technically the new year on the Gregorian calendar. And this time of year, usually a lot of people are looking at what they just spent for the past year and are like, okay, how can I make this a little bit less for the upcoming year? Hi, kitty. So, as women, a big portion, I find, of what a lot of women spend their money on is their wardrobe, right? So we're going to do a few different tips. We're going to talk about how to be frugal with our wardrobe and how to steward our resources well. In the Bible, it doesn't talk too much about, like woman's wardrobe and stuff like that. It does say that we are to steward our resources well, so our finances and things like that. It does say that our beauty should not just be focused on our outward appearance like our clothes, but our beauty should be focused on our inward character. And the Proverbs 31 woman, okay, it talks about how she is not afraid of the winter because her household is clothed well, right? And it talks about her making things and stuff like that. So the wardrobe is a part of, the woman's, shall we say, area of responsibility. Wardrobes, not only for ourselves, but if you do have family, kids, and stuff like that, you, of course, usually as the mother are the one making the decisions when it comes to what to buy and how much and all of that. So I separated these into 3 categories. We've got our beginner level tips for being frugal with our wardrobe, which are things that are easy to do, things that, you start off with when you're starting off trying to be, more frugal in how much you spend and stuff like that when it comes to wardrobe. Then we've got like mid-level stuff, which takes a bit more effort, and then we've got more advanced things, okay? But before any of those, my biggest tip, okay, to being more frugal in your wardrobe, and this is going to sound weird, the biggest tip is to find your style and to stick to it. So men have it easy. Let's face it, men have it easy. Almost every variation of something that they're wearing is literally a shirt, a pair of pants, some sort of jacket, right? And then they've got like boots or tennis shoes or fancy shoes. But literally every outfit that they can get basically at the store is some variation of pants, a shirt, and a jacket, right? Even suits are a variation of pants, shirt, and a jacket, like casual wear, jeans, shirt, jacket. That's basically their style, right? Now, of course, there's variations within that, but it's basic pieces, right? For women, I don't know who came up with all this stuff for women. We've got skirts, we've got shirts, we've got cardigans, we've got sweaters, we've got a bunch of different accessories like scarves and jewelry to coordinate, and belts and pants or leggings, or the list goes on and on. And trying to coordinate all of these things and figure out what things go with what other things is difficult, right? For men, they have 2 lengths of pants. They've got pants that actually, hit their ankles, and then they've got shorts. Women, we have long pants, we have bell bottoms, we have skinny jeans, we have mid-rise crop pants, we've got shorts, and then short shorts, not to mention all the different lengths of skirts that go into this thing. So when we find our style and we find what works for us and our body type, because I know every woman's body type is different, right? So what looks good on me may not look good on you, and what looks good on you might not work for my body type, right? For me personally, this looked like going through a lot of different phases of trying different things to see what worked for my body, because I am very tall and very slender. So for me, things like crop tops don't work. Things like short shorts don't work for me. So what I found for myself, okay, this is not a formula for every woman, but for myself, I found what I am most comfortable in is a shirt, some sort of skirt slapped on it, right? And then in the winter time, or fall time, we have all 4 seasons where I'm at, I'll throw cardigans on and leggings on underneath, right? Or sweaters. But that's kind of my formula, and I know that that works for me, right? Some of you, it might be jeans and a shirt, okay? Or a particular type of dress that you really like, so you buy it in like 8 different colors and just roll with it. But once you find your style and you find exactly what works for you, okay, then you can weed out all of the other things in your wardrobe that don't work, right? Because let's face it, most of the time a woman's closet, right, we reach for like 20% of our clothing 80% of the time. You know which pieces that you are wearing over and over and over again, and which pieces have sat in your closet for like 3 years and haven't been touched, right? More than likely, the ones that you're wearing over and over and over again are your style, are the things that look good on you and you like. So if the ones you're wearing over and over and over again are the ones you like, then maybe it's time to let go of some of the ones that don't work for you so well, right? And then just get more of the ones that do work, so you know that everything in your wardrobe is something you like and can easily swap in and out, right? So for me, this looks like I do have a decent sized wardrobe. It's not an insanely large one. It's not really small and minimalistic, okay? It's a basic wardrobe, but I have a lot of skirts and I have a lot of tops and a lot of cardigans, and I can take and mix and match all of these to make like 8 million different outfits, and that's how I roll. That being said, finding your style just makes the rest of this much easier, okay? So if you haven't done that, go try it out. Easiest way, look at your closet, see which things you wear the most, because those are probably your style. All right, our beginner tips for being frugal, okay? My first thing, of course, is to buy less clothes, because most of us, yes, most of us women, myself included, probably have a wardrobe that is bigger than it needs to be, right? We tend to buy things on a whim, or because we need something for some particular outfit that's not exactly our style, but we bought that other thing that's kind of not our style, so now we need something to go with it to wear it, right? And by doing that, we end up with a plethora of clothing that a lot of the times we don't wear. So buying less clothes in general, of course, is more frugal. You save more money that way. Once you find your style, of course, this makes it easy, because then the only clothes you will be buying are the ones that are in your style, and then can basically go with anything else in your wardrobe. Easy peasy, right? See how that ties in? Besides less clothes, of course, if you are going to buy new clothes, if you need certain pieces for your wardrobe, say you're getting rid of the stuff that isn't your style and trying to bring in things that are more your style, a way to be frugal about it, beginner tip, is to go thrifting. Some people find thrifting to be strange, or I guess some people see it as like not hygienic, but the thrifted clothes are just clothes that somebody else wore at some point, and most of the clothes that you're going to find at a new store, somebody probably tried those on already anyway, so I don't see that big of a difference. I have no problem with it, teach their own. But I find that when I thrift things, okay, that they are like a third of the price, or less of buying them new. Okay, like when I found my style, right, and started swapping over my wardrobe, I ended up getting basically a new wardrobe for like $100 because they were all thrifted. And they were all pieces that like were deeply discounted on sale at the thrift store because a lot of other people, they weren't like the in new style of stuff, right? So a lot of other people didn't want them, but I did. So I got things pretty cheap, like this sweater, this shirt. Actually, my entire outfit that I'm wearing right now is thrifted. My skirt, my leggings, all thrifted. And when you're going thrifting, okay, to find things, this is tip number 3, finding things that have thicker fabric, okay? Most of the fast fashion that goes on in regular stores, these fashions where it's like, oh, we're going to have this fashion and it's only going to be around for 6 months. So these giant clothing industries make these fabrics practically see-through. And so the first time you throw them in the washing machine, they rip or have a hole in them or a seam pops loose, which is a waste of a $30 t-shirt if you ask me. But when you thrift your clothes, if you're looking for the thicker fabrics, okay, they're usually ones that have been around a bit longer, okay? So they're more vintage clothing because back in the day, people didn't buy as many clothes, and so the clothing companies actually had to make clothes that were thicker and would last because otherwise people just wouldn't buy them, right? And they would go make them themselves. In a day and age when most people don't make their clothes, these companies get away with a lot of nonsense. But when you go and you find like the thicker fabrics, like the thicker cottons, wool, you know, stuff like that, you find the thicker ones, those ones are going to last longer because they can go through more washes without ripping. They're stronger because the fabric is weaved stronger, as opposed to these really thin see-through ones that are going to rip probably on the first or second wash, right? Another beautiful thing about getting thrifted clothes is the fact that you know they've already probably been through at least one wash. The last time I bought something new, okay, was a shirt. A basic plain t-shirt, okay? I bought it new. It was like $15 on sale. It went through the washing machine once and ended up with a hole in it. And it was on a gentle cycle, guys. After that, I decided, no, I'm not going to buy anything new anymore. I'm going to go to the thrift store because at least those have already been through the washing machine, so I know they can handle being washed without falling apart, right? What are you doing? Huh? Yeah, you. What are you doing? Sorry. But those are the beginner tips, okay, is getting thicker fabrics because they will last longer, hence not having to buy more clothes, right? Thrifting your clothes because usually thrifted clothes are cheaper because somebody else has already worn them. And you can find really decent clothes depending on where you're at. Most thrift stores you can find really decent clothes because, you know, there's always like some elderly lady who kept like every single piece of her wardrobe from like the last 40 years and recently passed away or something, and so her whole wardrobe ended up there. Or, you know, you get a lot of working ladies who just go through new styles so often that their stuff just ends up at the thrift store and it's practically brand new. But you can find a lot of really good stuff there. So thicker fabrics, thrifting, and just not needing as many clothes in general, right? Once you find your style, those are our beginner tips, okay? Once you've already done all those, and some of you are looking at me like, yes, well, I already do all that, then you move on to your mid-level tips, okay? Mid-level tips. The first one is to mend your clothes. Basic sewing skills, like knowing how to sew on a button when it falls off, okay? Or knowing how to fix a seam when it pops loose, knowing how to darn a sock, right? Because I don't know about you, but my socks always in the balls of my feet, and that's where the holes end up. So I have learned how to fix them, right? I have learned how to reinforce them before they fall apart. Mending your clothes extends the life of your clothes. Most of the time, a lot of people will get rid of something because, say, a button fell off of it, or they got a stain on it, or, there's a small hole in it. But if you know how to mend and launder your clothes properly, but if you know how to mend your clothes, you can extend the life of them by years easily, right? Along with mending them, that's our first tip, is knowing your fabrics, okay? Synthetic fabrics are not so great, just in general, in my opinion. They feel weird against my skin and make me itchy, and I'm just not a fan. So I don't really buy a lot of synthetics. But when it comes to like your actual clothes, like cotton, wool, silk, you need to know your fabrics and know how to take care of them. Okay, so like my wool skirts do not go in the washing machine. They don't get dry cleaned either, because that's expensive as baloney. They go in my bathtub and get hand washed, right? By hand. And then they get laid flat or laid on the clothesline to dry. Anything more delicate, like silk. Silk, again, is a hand washing item. Yes, does it take more time to take care of your clothes this way? Of course, because you're bent over a bathtub or whatever else you're using to wash your clothes, right? But for specific clothes, this is totally worth it because it extends the life of your clothes, number one, right? And number two, it's just gentler on the fabrics, so you're less likely to have to mend them over and over again, okay? So things like wool, if you put it in the dryer, it's gonna shrink. But if you lay it flat or you throw it on a clothesline, it keeps its shape and doesn't, shrink up on you. But wool is one of the greatest things if you are in a climate that has actual winter, Beautiful thing for keeping you warm is wool. It's cotton too. Cotton is great in the summertime, okay, because, kind of lets the moisture out, wicks away moisture. Wool is good in the summer too if it's a thinner wool, but if you know your fabrics and then you know how to take care of them, it extends their life, which means buying less clothes, which means more money in your pocket. Along with this too, instead of dry cleaning, because let's face it, dry cleaning is expensive, and that's what most people would do for things like silk and stuff like that. Silk, cashmere, all of those things, even if it says dry clean only on the tag, okay? I have taken those things and washed them in the bathtub by hand and laid them out flat to dry, and then just iron them on the setting that's actually for that fabric on your iron, okay? Like, don't be ironing silk on a cotton setting or stuff like that. You have to actually look and see what the fabric settings are on your iron to iron it properly. But you can hand wash just about anything, okay? Which saves you money in the long run, right? And I have not had a single problem with hand washing any of my clothes that say dry clean, right? You just make sure that you don't put dark colors and with light colors in the same bathtub until you know if any of those colors bleed. That's my one tip for that. Make sure you do like colors and do one piece at a time until you know if there's any particular pieces you have where the color's going to bleed out. Okay, those are our mid tips, okay? Mid-level tips. Yes, these are a little bit more work, but they extend the life of your wardrobe and they are worth it in the long run, okay? So mending your clothes, knowing your fabrics and knowing how to wash them properly to extend their life, and knowing how to use the proper settings on your iron, because things like cotton and silk and wool usually do need to be ironed. It's another step in the process, but it saves you money in the long run. Moving on to our advanced tip. Now this, of course, a lot of you probably won't get to if you have a very busy schedule and things like that, but for those of you who do have the time, a really good tip for being frugal plus extending the life of your wardrobe plus knowing that it's made well is to make or tailor your own clothes. Because let's face it, even if you are buying new clothes, right, a lot of the times these clothes at stores, because they are not custom made. Like a lot of other countries custom make their clothes, which I find really cool, right? Then you know it's actually made for your body. But a lot of these mass manufacturers, okay, they make for the average body type, whatever that is. So a lot of those things don't fit properly, or they'll bunch funny somewhere or something like that. If you are already good at basic sewing skills, right, then you can take that further and alter your clothes to fit you better, right? So you can buy something and then alter it, or go the extra advanced mile and go purchase your own fabric and make a piece of clothing from scratch. I have done a few pieces myself. It is, yes, a more advanced thing to do. But what's nice about being able to make your own clothes is, first off, you get to go pick your fabric. I've had a lot of things in my wardrobe over the years where I got it because it fit, or I got it because it was a cute fabric, but there were hardly any that were both, right? When you make your own clothes, you get to go pick your fabric, so you get to decide what kind of fabric you want. So if like you like the synthetics or you don't like the synthetics, you know what you're getting, right? So I get like 100% cotton, right? And then I can pick how thick that fabric is and which one I want to buy, and of course the pattern or color of it. Then I get to make it to fit my body exactly the way I need it to, because like I said, I'm on the taller side of life, so a lot of things that are like a basic average length are too short on me for my liking. So I have taken skirts that I have found from thrifting that I actually like and are long enough and fit me well, right? And then basically plopped those out on the fabric, made my own pattern, and replicated those skirts into skirts that I liked. This, of course, yes, does take more time. It does take more effort. It's easier if you know how to use a sewing machine. But overall, making something that you like and making something that you know fits you, I wear those pieces that I made myself, even though I am not that great of a sewer and I did make mistakes on some of these things. Knowing that I made them myself makes me proud of them, and I actually wear them more often than I do the other things in my wardrobe. So you do get a good deal of use out of them, number one, and because they're made for your height, for your width, for your body type, you just feel better in them, right? And they're usually a cute fabric because you pick the fabric out yourself. So you're more likely to wear them. They are more likely to be better made. I mean, half of the things you get at a regular store these days are not even sewn in a straight line. Like, look at the bottom seams on shirts. That'll tell you if it was very quickly made. Because half the time when they roll that bottom seam up, it doesn't match on most of the brand new shirts. I don't know who's making these things. Probably some unfortunately underpaid woman in a factory somewhere in a third world country. But again, if you want something that you know is well made, you know is going to last years, and you're actually going to like it and it's going to fit your body type, make it yourself. That's an advanced tip. The basic advanced tip, okay, is altering or making something yourself. Now, all of these, of course, are to extend the life of your wardrobe, to make your wardrobe something that you enjoy wearing, right? To make it so you are stewarding your resources well, because let's face it, a lot of us spend way too much money on clothing, okay, and shoes. And these things, we don't need as many of them as we have usually, and once we find our style and once we know what we like, it makes it easier to just buy the things that actually work for us. And when we have that formula of what works for us, right, we save a lot of money in the long term. I hope this has blessed you in some way. Maybe you've taken a tip away from this that you didn't know before. We will probably be doing more videos on frugal tips in different areas of our lives. But for now, I'll see you guys later. Bye.